everyone, and welcome to another Rootless conversation. Today we have the pleasure of being in New York City and sitting down with Amelia Randolph Campbell to talk to us about her journey through an actor and today a speaker on TEDx stages. Thank you so much, Amelia, for taking the time out of your schedule to meet with us today. We're really excited to get to know the journey and what led to this day.
Thank you so much, Greta. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And we love to open up this conversation with the platform, the vision, the word, rootless. Does that mean anything to you when I say rootless?
Absolutely. It brings up a visceral sensation of freedom, of being able to be untied to conditioning that may or may not be helpful today. This idea of rising up out of habits and having a wider view, being able to see inside and outside what else is possible for who you are and what your mind is and what you're here to create.
Wow. So I do love asking that because it's just every time I get goosebumps how people see rootless. And let's take people back on your journey. Amelia, talk to us about your roots. Where does your story begin?
My story begins in Santa Fe, New Mexico, the beautiful, beautiful place in the Southwest. That's where my heart will always be in many ways. Just I grew up out on a mesa with the beautiful New Mexico skies and rainstorms and rainbows and just an incredible land, incredible family there. And I was there with my younger sister till I was 18 when I went to college out in Massachusetts to study theater. Did some conservatory there, and then ended up in New York. Not ended up. I declared that I would go there when I was 7, when I did my first professional show and fell in love with theater. But it was a beautiful childhood. Lots of good family. Lots of diverse backgrounds. I've got some architects, Pilates teachers, acupuncturists, a slew of attorneys, people in government and politics and the Navy. And also, I like to say a couple legit Peter Pans in my family.
And how does one fall in love with theater?
I mean, I think that there are things that you come into life with, born to do or discover, and there's many different ways that those can be articulated. But for me, my mom put me in a professional production of The Wizard of Oz that was in town. All just very professional, run by adults, and the children, there were children in it, but we were the munchkins. So I was a Lullaby League munchkin in that when I was 7, and I just really caught the bug. I fell in love. The being in the adult production, distinctly things like the smell of the theater, the entire process, how everything felt. That's when I got the bug. I was only 7, and when it ended, I went into pretty much like a decline. I had like a depression because I just wanted to be back in that space.
What does it feel like for those wondering? What does it feel like for an actor when they are in a role?
I mean, I believe, and this is what I'm incorporating into my work today, there is a magical place that you get to live, and not magical fake, but like magical real. I know that actors get to really touch in on the stuff of the soul and the stuff of life and the stuff of other people and humanity. And I think, you really get to come out of your own habits, your limits, your ways of thinking. You come from the core of those. First, you get to get in there and strip away and really get really in touch with yourself. And then you get to bounce off of that into exploring the complexities and wonders of other human beings. And therefore, you get to grow yourself in these amazing ways. And it's liberating, and it's enlivening. And I think you get to flex as a human being in ways that aren't necessarily happening otherwise. And that gets addictive,
And I can only imagine. My next question is to those listening that maybe are actors. It's a very hard industry, at least to an outsider, from what we've heard. How did you keep that dream alive that, no, I'm going to make it to New York. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to continue doing it? What are some of those feelings that kept you moving?
I just had a huge fire in my belly and clarity in my heart. It's like, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it, and I'm gonna see what's possible, how far I can take it. There's many different ways to approach it. I came with my degrees and started, hitting the pavement. I've always been a great networker, and you follow that feeling in your belly, and it's amazing because there is mostly rejection, but I think, if you're cultivating a healthy head and heart space and staying on mission, you get to flex into a place where you can't take that stuff personally, and you show up very personal while not taking things personally. So a tremendous amount of growth is required. But your main job, if you are going to enjoy the profession, which I definitely dipped into spaces where I didn't, and I got in the headspace of the hardness and the struggle and the rejection, but that's pointless, because that can only hold you back. Your main point is just your job is to stay in the joy of it, and that's what I'm teaching now.
And just to give the full picture there, we want to just ask a little bit more about that, becoming an actor, to those listening. Any layers or characteristics that when you see it in somebody, you say, man, this is going to be a great actor?
I think people who are able to be just radically present actors, the main qualities that you need to really be influential as an actor. And I think when you're influential as an actor, you're able to help people connect to themselves, help people connect to their story, feel something in them that they resonate with. You help people become more alive. When someone is really present like that and able to connect and listen, those are some of the key characteristics, because then they're going to be able to really communicate with themselves, which is also what I teach, number one, like people getting in touch with and communicating with what is going on in them, because from there, if that's not happening, you can't go anywhere. But if that is happening and you're radically connected to yourself, then you're going to be able to radically connect to others and hold your powerful space, but really have others feel seen and be able to help them be influenced to a greater space in their own selves.
And this next question comes from just wanting to understand the great finale, the stage. What do you feel when you're on the stage?
There's something about the lights. There's a sacredness to the space, and I know that it hails from ancient days, like the Greeks and the theater, and that it is a form of church. It's a form of a space where people come to have an experience and be transformed in some way and pause in life and be in story, and it's the study of life and experience of life through whatever lens is occurring. And so when audience and the performers come together, and this goes all across the board. It could be in a traditional church. It could be, it's happening in the way I work now, from the different kind of stages that I'm on now. It's just that space of pause and connection where you're going to learn something, you're going to experience something. And so it feels like a sacred space.
And you didn't end there, though. You took a little detour. How does an actor take a detour in New York City and come? I'll let you explain this next path that occurred.
Yes. So I think life unfolds perfectly, and that detours are crucial. And I think what I really know is that how you think about a detour really matters, because I don't think there's any such thing as failure. And when a new path comes in front of you, if you take it, especially if you're a performer, but I think it probably applies anywhere, things come into your life to help you grow and get to where you're really supposed to be. And it's all like a concert and perfect storm for who you're becoming and what you are finding out about what you're going to have to offer the world. So I spent 12 or 13 years just acting after moving here. And of course, well, supporting it with various jobs, mostly waiting tables, an epic fail in real estate for a few months, all kinds of different stuff. And the key for me is that I never have bought into the starving artist mentality. I am a huge believer in abundance and unlimited abundance. And I think, the idea of like scraping by as an actor, especially as I got older, was just less appealing. So I believe there was always this entrepreneurial bone inside my body. And I wanted to be totally on my own steam. I didn't want to work for anyone else. I wanted to be on my own time and create something that was scalable and buildable, and trading, not so much liking the dollars per hour type thing, because I wanted much more time and much more space and much more money to do things like fund projects that I wanted to create as an actor, etc. So going down that path, I found the sales world and a couple really great companies, and I dove into that path. And that was around the time that I was starting my family. So it pretty much felt like a 180. I was in auditions all the way up till month 8.5 pregnancy for my first baby. And then I was starting to dive into entrepreneurship then, but I ended up falling totally in love with sales, which was shocking to me, but I loved it. And I did that. I built the sales business while having the very small baby and then a second baby. But I found tremendous satisfaction in it because I was able to take it and grow it. And I found that there was a lot of the stuff that I loved from the acting world, communicating, helping people have kind of a transformation. I fell totally in love with the personal development aspect of sales, and ended up focusing most of my attention on helping the women in my team overcome their fears and obstacles, the bridge between like what they wanted in their business and where they were. And bridging that gap was it just lit me on fire. So I was just could not get enough of the personal development world in that sense. So I was very fulfilled, and I was surprised because I really didn't think anything was going to make me that happy if there was something other than acting, but it did. So I dove into it full force. And I think it's important to love your quote unquote detours, because that detour took me straight to my platform now.
And we're going to talk about that in a second. And for those listening, it's so powerful what you said, that you kept acting no matter what, even if you had to have those other jobs, because it was part of the bigger plan, right? I don't think if you had quit halfway, it would have got you to that sales, or maybe it would have, but I don't think so, because it layered you up for where you were really meant to be. And I think that's what it's all about, right? When you have something you really love, you got to keep at it, because something might open up.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we today? I want you to tell people what you are doing today. I know that you are creating something so special, so unique, to bring along these gifts that you've obtained throughout your years of acting and stage and sales, and so you're ready to share them with others.
So my business today, the company has been recently founded, is ARC Inc. It stands for my initials, Amelia Randolph Campbell, and also the vision of an arc, which is anchored but soars high and protects you and is an unlimited symbol of abundance and growth. So the methodology that I have founded brings together what I value most in the acting world and what I value most in the personal growth world and business world. And so I realized that there is a beautiful overlap of the way in which actors create characters and the way people in business and life and whatever it is they're doing use personal growth to create themselves. And I realized there are some incredibly efficient, creative, fun, and effective tools from the mind of an actor, the way an actor sees and views the world, and how that can be applied to bust up some of our mindset that gets in our way in our default thinking. Actors think in ways that dissolve a lot of the default thinking and mindset and limits that we have automatically. So I teach that. And then there are a few key exercises and tools that take that base mindset and give you tactile ways to apply this thinking in your daily lives. So I'm always very clear that I am not teaching acting. I'm teaching how to get to the truth of your life and strip it away and take away the limits and think in a way that just nothing can stop you from defining who you want to become and then actually becoming it, not dependent on your current story, but how to really make your own new story on your own steam, because that's what an actor does.
That's powerful right there, because that's one of our main missions on Rootless. So I'm so
That's why it's so exciting to talk to you.
I'm so excited to hear you say that. And how did you know that it was time?
Well, it just I am very tuned into my life and to myself, and my life told me it was time, really. Just in the same way that the entrepreneurship and family arrived, that was time for that. As I was rising in leadership in my company, I began to speak at our sales conferences, and I found myself back up on stage, and it was very much motivational mindset coaching within the business. And I started getting really good feedback. People were very excited to hear it. They wanted more. And that lit me up. I said, oh, I'm back on the stage that I love and creating really, really meaningful, exciting change in people. I want to go more in this direction. And not only that, people are like, you have to do this more. So it's like, I really believe when you're supposed to do something, your life will tell you. So just be listening for it. And of course, right around then, when I started having that idea and opening up more to it, they always say, when you're ready, the teacher will appear. So my incredible mentor, who I still work with today, Trisha Brooke, who is a mutual friend of ours, started appearing in my life. And some key friends and mentors of mine had worked with her. So I followed her and began to take her courses. And that's in the first course I took to really write a TED-style talk. That is where I was able to really articulate this idea that had been brewing of teaching personal development through an actor's mindset. So that got articulated, and then it has gone from there.
And I just want to pause there to those listening. It's like, when you know it's time, it's important to either get certified or find the coach that's really going to take that message and tailor it for your audience. Do you think that was really important to set up ARC to be successful? Would you recommend it? Is it a must? Talk to us a little bit more about the importance of really getting yourself in tune before you launch.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to get in tune. I feel like if you're really in tune and aligned with what you want to do, and you ask, where is my person? Because everybody has a coach that's aligned to them with what they're supposed to do. Coaches are essential. I love my years of trying to bootstrap stuff by myself, which I spent many years doing that, and I think you can to a certain extent, but there is a time that comes, if you are clear on what you want to do and why, most especially, then find the person who can fast track it. And I'm a huge believer in abundance and leverage. So line up with your own abundance. You have to fully say yes to that. And when you're fully saying yes to your ability to commit to yourself, then you can partner with a coach who will take you to exactly where you want to go. If it's a coach that either has built what you want to build, ideally they've done that, and ideally they're also really in tune with what you want to do, and then they can leapfrog you past pitfalls that maybe they learned about, that they can help leapfrog you, but they can arm you with the tools and knowledge that you need, and then help you fly and connect you and do all those things. That's if you're serious, like, that's investing in that is absolutely a no-brainer.
And how does somebody take the time to prepare the speech? I feel like a lot of speakers and a lot of coaches don't launch their platforms because they're just so afraid of the preparation that's going to go into this speech, and it becomes something that's left for the next year and the next year and the next year.
Well, this is another reason why having a coach is essential, because they'll make sure that you do it. And if you've invested enough, you'll also make sure you're going to do it. That preparation is key, especially obviously if you're in speaking, you've got to be going and doing the speaking, and the skills and time and preparation it takes for a good talk. Like an 8 to 15 minute TED style talk, if you're really doing it right, it's going to be a couple months of following a very specific formula, writing it out, fleshing it out, several drafts, testing it out, and then of course you want it in your bloodstream when you give it. You're memorizing it, but then you're living in it as well for the audience.
And how do you go about establishing the brand? It's very much a personal brand, but it's very much a business as well.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have to almost step out and use those actor qualities where you're looking at yourself from a different audience point of view? How did you go about it, Amelia? I'm curious to know how you defined ARC
Mm-hmm.
for your audience.
Certainly. Well, I think in any brand, ultimately, if you are starting it, you are the brand. So your number one job, we can get very distracted by lining up the things that ultimately should come second first, meaning, lining up, the photos, the social media, the newsletters, the podcast appearances, to do the things. And you do need to do the things, but you really need to get aligned with a mission, with who you are, and then if you've really done that, then you can show up in the photos, in the podcast, in the media, in your brand. And then that's adding credibility to the brand. Before you have credibility, if you're showing up really on your mission, then you're already credible, and you will gain the on paper credibility faster and in a more authentic way.
And who's that ideal client for you? Do you recognize them in a room of people? You're like, I want to work with this person.
I think you can see the fire in their eyes. I love waking people up to their potential and then helping them get clarified on it. But for my ideal client, you already have to have the juices going, right? I love working with leaders and communicators, positive disruptors, influencers, people who have the vision, or the hunger at least, and are excited to, jump in and try the growth, expand the growth, already are addicted to personal growth and are excited and curious. They have that curiosity to have a new experience that then they can potentially, help other people with. Service-driven people who really want to change things in a good way and grow the heck out of themselves. That's who I want to work with.
What's the process like? If somebody listening wants to work with you, what's it like? Is it a month-to-month process? Do you have a time frame that you're going to commit to each other? What's the ARC process like?
Right now, I'm working on developing small group coaching, and I've implemented it at leader retreats, and I did a retreat for my high school, the seniors in my high school last year. But right now it is small group, like 4 to 5 people. I am planning workshops every few months for it, and it goes for like one VIP day, and we come. So, I'm dreaming big. I'm dreaming on retreats and online courses, but really this stuff is in person, and it's small groups just coming together to shore up what's in the individual, and also collectively learn from each other through a deep dive into the methodology and the mindset, and then experiencing these exercises, not in some other scene, but like entering into your emotional life in a very safe way, but like connecting to what you're actually experiencing. A lot of times we don't do that work up on the surface, but what it is to really connect to what's actually going on. And then you have a handle on it, and you have choices, and you have consciousness. So there's exercises with that, and watching someone go through that is it's not traumatic, it's good, and it helps them feel things in themselves. and there's talking about that. And then there's exercises of exchange. I really love to work with a question asking process, and these questions lead you. You can focus your questions in much better ways to lead you in a certain direction. So we work with that. It's honing the mind and honing the heart, honing listening and communication. But really, these workshops are, you experience yourself on a new level, and you're witnessed, and the witnessing that you do in the group is almost the point of the most learning.
And that leads me to my next question is, I think that sometimes when you're trying to do all these things, and the platform of where you will deliver is a hit or miss. Do you think you have a better understanding, and is there a platform that you think that is best for your brand to be really portrayed in? What's your thoughts on that? And that question goes hand in hand with whether it's your personal website, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, or whether it's just networking groups, such as the one we're here in New York today. So,
yeah, I mean, I think the platform I love the most is Instagram right now. I think I resonate with it. I love the stories. I love the visual aspects there, and I think it does connect everywhere else. And I think, of course, social media, and I focused on this in my last business. Social media has to be, only the part of it. I think a lot of people tend to pour everything into social media and hope it's going to do more than it might. And it does depend on your business, but really getting the boots to the ground, like social media should just be a portion and a jumping off point to really getting your boots on the ground in person and getting the courses down and the speeches done.
That's great. You answered that perfectly. I think that was a big tip there for a lot of people who maybe spent a lot of energy on it. And this question is a question that we were thinking about is, when do you know that the progress, or how do you know that your job is done with a particular client? Is there a know it moment for you? Is there a point as a speaker, as a coach, where you say, oh, she's there or he's there?
I think there is a moment in the room with some of these exercises and discussions. You can see when a light bulb goes off for someone, and that's what you're going for. You're going for kind of that breakthrough moment. And the moment that I work for constantly is when it's not about, oh, they're listening to me. It's when what I'm offering, I watch it go in and become theirs. And then they don't need me anymore. I can tell that they've taken on the information and it's affected a change, and it's become part of their working system in ways that becomes wholly theirs. And that's the juice I'm going for.
Yeah, that's powerful right there. And the specific, what's your take on this? Everybody's divided. A specific time frame they really need to be known as like the it speaker, or is it just the matter of the right stage, like that TEDx stage? What's your take on that?
My take is that it's essential that you detach yourself from anyone else's timing. And I think energy that goes towards those pre-painted shoulds and comparisons steal energy from how you can just be fueling your own space. And I think, everybody, you can certainly surround yourself with stories that excite you. But if you've got a story in your head about, I should have been here by now, I should be where she is, that's stealing all of your power. So if there's stories that are exciting you and you feel, aligned with, maybe it's taking longer than you think, surround yourself with the story of someone that it took longer than they thought, but they still went there, and cut anything that is putting you in lack mentality or worry, because your story will be completely yours, but only if you're in line with what that timing will be. And that's something that will inform you ultimately.
Well, there's your answer to those wondering. I don't think anybody's answered it like that before. for. People try to go for one or the other. And branding advice. You've worked in sales organizations. You've worked with a lot of people. You've worked with actors. You've been an actor. Obviously, branding is a very big word, but if you had to just boil it down, any advice that you give a young person or an experienced person listening?
I think, ultimately, you are the brand. And if you are really growing yourself and in tune with yourself, then you will continue to become the brand that you wish. And because sometimes branding it's so external. It's like, find the logo, take the pictures, set up the website. And again, that is all absolutely crucial. But if it's not fueled with you having arrived first, then the branding's not going to go. I mean, there's people, I totally believe that you could maybe not even have your website up. But if an opportunity comes to have an interview or be somewhere and you're not worried about the pictures and the logo, but you show up as the brand, then the brand is working and everything else will fall in place because you're already aligned.
Has the entrepreneurial motivations or mindset changed since you've begun this journey? And when I say begun, I go back to that early memory that you shared with us where you felt very much entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
Has it changed?
The details of it have changed, but the core fire to do something really big has remained. And I think, I've been open to the details shifting. I've just been, that fire is on and the openness and curiosity is there. And the litmus test of, what feels right according to that fire. But for instance, when I started to think about speaking more, that's really only what it was about, just speaking more and articulating this cool idea. But then as I started to write, I wrote the first talk and I kept going to write this 8-minute talk and writing so much more over here and then being like, okay, whoa, that's a different talk. Back to this one idea. And then it would go all the way over here into a whole other section. And that's when I sort of realized that this is bigger than that. I thought this is a book. Like there's so much to articulate here in ways that can really help people. And so if there's a book, there's courses, like there's ways to teach this. And I envisioned a triangle, like the speaking, people learn about it through speaking. They can go read the book as a resource. They can have a course. Again, that may be online, some of it, but it's like boots on the ground, face-to-face, heart-to-heart type courses. So then it goes on and on. Now sky's the limit with where I'm going to take this thing. So.
And everybody is obsessed with knowing, going in somebody's mind and understanding their mindset is a theme of our new world, so to say. What's your mindset like? What do you tell yourself, Amelia, when you wake up every day in this big city, New York City? I mean, sometimes it's tough just to navigate the streets in New York City. So what are you telling yourself?
Yeah, I believe that you've got to protect your mind like a fortress. And that's not to say put your head in the sand. We need to observe and be in the world that we're in, but you can absolutely set your tone for what you are focusing on. I teach a great deal about focus as being the number one tool of yours. And immediately, gratitude is at the core. If you're in a state of gratitude, you're open in a different way. You're attracting things in a different way than if you're looking at lack. And then it's about refusing to be anything other than pure potential, pure positivity, possibility mindset everywhere. Because there's no reason why it can't be crazy awesome. I think there's crazy terrible and there's crazy awesome, and you get to choose which one you're putting more focus on.
And I mean, that's powerful because you say I see you.
Right.
That's what you land on when you visit ARC. You land on I see you. So we see you too, and it's been an incredible conversation to really understand the makings of this girl turned into woman with a mission. From acting, from the Wizard of Oz, to helping people find hope and live in that state of hope, which can be done if you take a few things from actors and what they do every day. So thank you so much, Amelia. It's been an absolute pleasure. The floor is yours if you want to have any final comments or thoughts on those listening that do believe in Rootless and do believe in hope and do believe that there is someone out there that does see them.
So identifying with an idea of being rootless, I think taking on the positive aspects of that word, not the fear-based aspects of, oh, we're rootless, we don't know where we're going. It's like, no, we're rootless. We can take what we want from our roots. Everyone has good parts of the roots, and then you get to leave behind what doesn't serve you, so that you have the vision to see what you can create, and then you're going to find the tribe that is also in that mindset and teach that mindset, and the entire world can shift how it feels and how it operates based on as many people as possible rising up into their own, out of their roots, but snipping the ones that need to go.
Perfect. There you have it. Thank you so much, Amelia.
Thank you.
New York City and ARC Inc. everyone.
Absolutely.